All right, welcome. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most brilliant, most intricate, and let's be real, most brain-melting shows ever made. Netflix's Dark. If you've ever found yourself totally lost in the woods of Winden, you are not alone. But don't you worry, this is your guide. So let's get ready to untangle this crazy knot, starting from the beginning, which, of course, is also the end. So let's just get it out of the way. Is Dark the most confusing show ever made? I mean, probably. Look, we have all been there. You're watching, you think you're following along, and then bam, you're asking yourself, wait, is he his own uncle? Is she her own grandmother? And the craziest part? The answer is usually yes. The show is absolutely legendary for its complexity. But I promise, if you stick with me, by the end of this, we're going to make sense of it all. The loop will finally be closed. Okay, first up, a cave, a town, and a loop. To really get a handle on Dark, you've got to start at the absolute center of everything. And that means we're going to a small German town called Winden, where there's a very mysterious cave and an inescapable loop in time. All right, this right here, this is the absolute engine of the entire series. If you only remember one thing, make it this. So there's a cave in Winden, and this cave connects different time periods. Because of this, the town's residents are trapped in this crazy repeating loop where the past is always creating the future, which then turns around and creates the past. It's a total paradox, and it leads to the most mind-blowing consequence. People are literally becoming their own ancestors. Now, these years you see here, 1888, 1953, 1986, 2019, 2052, they are not random, not at all. Everything in Dark is connected in a 33-year cycle. So something that happens in 1986 doesn't just stay there. It sends out ripples, right? It immediately impacts 2019 and 1953. It's like all these timelines are happening at once, and the characters are just pawns playing their parts across all 5 periods, simultaneously. Okay, next section. The boy who became father. So you're probably wondering, how does this insane time loop actually affect people? What's the first big, crazy thing the show hits us with? Well, it all starts like so many things in Winden with a missing child. Let's talk about Mikkel. All right, so the whole show really kicks off with this central mystery. It's 2019, and a young boy, Mikkel Nielsen, vanishes near the Winden caves. As you can imagine, his family is completely devastated, especially his dad, Ulrich. On the surface, it looks like a really tragic but straightforward missing person case. But as you're starting to figure out, in Winden, nothing is ever simple. And here comes the first big twist. Mikkel isn't just lost, he's displaced in time. He stumbles through that cave and comes out the other side in the year 1986. Just imagine that. He's a little kid, all alone, totally scared, and he's trapped in a time before he was even supposed to be born. He ends up being taken in by a local family, and, well, he stays.
And this is where your brain starts to melt. This is the first huge paradox of the show, because that little boy, Mikkel Nielsen, he grows up in the 80s, takes on a new name, Michael Conwald, and he has a son. And who is that son? Our main character, Jonas. Let that sink in. The missing boy is Jonas's father, which also means that Martha, Jonas's crush, is, wait for it, technically his aunt. Yeah, this is the insane causal loop that kicks off absolutely everything.
So now we've got the great family tangle. And look, if you thought that whole Mikkel is Michael thing was a lot to handle, you might want to buckle up because we are just getting started. The Winden family tree isn't really a tree at all. It's more like a tangled, knotted ball of yarn where the beginning is the end and the end is the beginning. Okay, let's break this down. Take a look at the two families here. On one side, you've got the Nielsens, right? You see Martha, Magnus, and little Mikkel. Now, just follow that arrow. Mikkel literally hops from his family tree over to the Conwald's family tree, becomes Michael, and, well, he fathers Jonas. This is the core connection. The two most important families in the show are linked because one family's son is the other family's father. It's completely impossible. Oh, but wait, it gets even weirder. You thought that was the peak? Let me introduce you to the Doppler family. This might be the single most mind-bending paradox in the entire show. So follow me here. Step 1, Charlotte Doppler has a daughter, Elizabeth. Got it? Okay. Step 2, Elizabeth grows up and years later she has a daughter. And who is that daughter? Step 3, it's Charlotte. Yes, you heard that right. Charlotte is her own grandmother, which means Elizabeth is her own mother. It's a perfect, completely unbreakable loop. All right, next up. 2 worlds, 1 origin.
So for 2 whole seasons, we're all sitting here thinking we're dealing with one single, impossibly complicated timeline. And then season 3 comes along and just blows everything wide open. Just when you think you finally have a grasp on the knot, you find out you've only been looking at one half of it. Turns out there isn't just one Wyndon trapped in a time loop. Oh no, there are 2.
So let's break down these 2 worlds. On one side, you've got World A. This is the world we've been watching the whole time. It's led by a much older, heavily scarred Jonas, who goes by the name Adam. Then, on the other side, we have World B. It's an alternate reality, and it's led by an older version of Martha, and she calls herself Eve. Think of them as 2 sides of the same coin, locked in this epic war across time and dimensions, and both of them are convinced they're the one who's right. So what's the one thing that connects these 2 warring worlds? What's the linchpin holding this entire inescapable knot together? It's a child. Specifically, the son of Jonas from one world and Martha from the other. This kid exists completely outside the rules of lineage, and he is the literal starting point, the origin of all those tangled family trees in both realities. He's basically the glitch in the matrix that ensures the whole loop just keeps on repeating forever. And that brings us to the endgame, breaking the infinite cycle. So the big question is, right, if everything is predetermined, if it's all locked in this infinite loop across 2 whole worlds, how in the world do you break it? How do you possibly win a game that's literally designed to never, ever end? Well, here's the thing. Adam and Eve, they spend their entire lives trying to either save the loop or destroy it. But they're both stuck inside the problem. They're part of the knot, trying to untangle it from within. And it just can't work. The only way to actually break the cycle is to destroy its origin. They have to go back to the very beginning, before the knot was ever even tied, and just erase it. And this is the solution they finally figure out, and it is just beautiful. It turns out their 2 worlds, Adam's and Eve's, were never even supposed to exist. They were basically a cosmic accident, created in a 3rd, original world. See, a scientist named Tannhaus, consumed by grief, tried to build a time machine to save his family from a car crash. But instead of working, his machine shattered reality, creating the 2 looped worlds. So the solution is simple. Step 1, find that original world. Step 2, travel there. Step 3, prevent the car accident that started everything. But here's the heartbreaking catch. If they prevent the accident, then the scientist, Tannhaus, never has a reason to invent time travel. And if there's no time travel, the Wyndon Cave is just a cave. The loop never begins. And if the loop never begins, Jonas and Martha, who are a direct result of that loop, are never born. In order to save everyone else, they have to literally erase themselves from existence. It's the ultimate, most tragic sacrifice. Okay, so let's get to our final takeaway. After 3 seasons of paradoxes, alternate worlds, and family trees that make your head spin, what is Dark really, truly about? What's the one thing we're supposed to take away from this whole epic journey? Well, it really all boils down to this. At its core, Dark is about how time travel destroys families, and how love is what finally breaks the loop. For all its complex sci-fi ideas, this is really just a story about human connection. The time travel is what created all these broken, tangled families, trapping them in an endless cycle of suffering. But it was the love between Jonas and Martha, a love so strong it crossed time, dimensions, and fate itself, that gave them the strength to do what had to be done. And really, that's the question the show leaves you with, isn't it? If love can break an infinite time loop across multiple universes, what can it do? It's an incredibly complex and challenging journey, but the final answer is actually really simple and just deeply human. Thanks so much for cracking the code of Dark with me.